Hello, my name is Riley Auer. I am here today with my friends Dom Yeso, Nor Sani, and Chris Hernandez, and we are going to be teaching everybody who'd like to learn how to throw the original bootleg boomerang. So there's a few things that you're going to want to know before throwing a boomerang, because they may look dangerous, but they're not dangerous if you know how to throw them properly. So the first thing that you're going to want to know is what good conditions are for throwing boomerangs. Great conditions are a day like today, a nice sunny day. The most important part about conditions is how fast the wind speed is going. Perfect wind speed is about, for these boomerangs specifically, anywhere from 4 to 10 miles an hour. That's a really good range. 7 is like perfect. Today there is no breeze, but I made these boomerangs so that even if there's no breeze, you can still throw them. So if it's a nice day out with a nice breeze, hopefully not too hot like today, it's blistering hot outside today, but you're going to want to know how to hold the boomerang properly. This is the first grip. This is called pistol grip. This is where you wrap your two fingers, your index and your middle finger, around the bottom of the boomerang here. And this is great for heavier boomerangs and boomerangs that you need to throw with a little bit more force. But my boomerangs are lighter and they do much better in the second major grip called pinch grip. And this is the grip that I usually tell people to throw these boomerangs with. It takes a little practice to get used to, but once you get it, they'll fly really, really well. So in this grip, hopefully you can tell that my thumb is on top of the boomerang here, and my fingers are wrapped around the back here. And this is really nice for these boomerangs because when you throw them, it can come right out of your hand like that, already spinning, and you have a lot more range to get the boomerang to spin like that. So pinch grip is how you're going to want to throw these bootleg boomerangs. Now that you have the boomerang, you know good conditions to throw it, and you know how to hold it, the next thing you're going to want to know is something about boomerangs is that almost all boomerangs that you get, only one side of the boomerang is painted. And that's because when you throw boomerangs, the painted side always faces you when you throw them. So I would never throw this boomerang like this, because the way it's shaped and the way it's supposed to be thrown, it will not come back this way. But painted side faces you. Just remember that. Okay. Next thing you're going to want to know is the throw height. This varies with different boomerangs. This one, the original bootleg boomerang, likes to be thrown just about at the tree line. You can get away with throwing this boomerang pretty much horizontally. It gets a little dicey when you're a beginner and you're throwing it horizontally, because you can throw it at the ground and you don't want to break your boomerang, of course. So I always say when you're first learning how, you want to throw it a little bit up pretty much at the tree line, and once you get the right height, the next part is how hard do you actually throw these boomerangs. Well, I always say it's like throwing a baseball. How I throw it is I like to take one step into the throw, like that. And I always like to bring my arm all the way back like this. I think it helps just to get a little bit more spin on the boomerang. And yeah, that's how hard you throw. Something else I'd like to mention about throw speed: when you're first starting out, you definitely want to throw it the first few times lighter than you think you have to throw it. You definitely don't want to throw it too hard your first few times, because they do fly a little bit erratically if thrown too hard. So if anything, start out light and then you work your way up. The most important part about throwing boomerangs is, of course, how you actually throw them. But if you don't throw them correctly in accordance with the wind, they will have an extremely hard time coming back to you. So today there's no wind, but if I were to tell you, hypothetically, that the wind is coming this way, directly towards the camera, And if you have a right-handed boomerang, which all of you should if you bought the boomerangs, because I only made right-handed ones, you want to throw these 45 degrees right of the wind. So about there, if the wind is coming directly at the camera. And different wind speeds, you want to vary the angle that you throw them. A little bit stronger winds, you want to throw it a little bit past 45, and less winds, you want to throw it a little bit less than 45. So yeah, that's probably the most important part, learning how to throw boomerangs, learning where to throw it in accordance with the wind.
How do you even throw this one?
So that one,
Here, I'd love to teach you.
Man. So I'm going to show my good friend here, Chris Hernandez, Undeveloped, and I Talk Too Much podcast. Be sure to check it out. Links in the description below.
Good friend.
He has asked me how to throw boomerangs. So I'm going to give him a quick rundown on how to throw them, and hopefully you can see them come back in this short amount of time.
So this is of course my buddy's first time throwing a real boomerang, so of course he might make a mistake or two, but he actually makes a mistake that a lot of beginners make, and it's a mistake I also made when I got my first boomerang, and it's how I broke my first boomerang. So I'll point that out to you guys so you don't make the same mistake.
Whoa. So hopefully the camera caught that.
Watch it north.
After telling him something that I actually forgot to tell you guys, you throw these boomerangs straight up and down. The more straight up and down you throw them, the better they will come back. That was a great example. Hopefully that got caught on camera. If you throw it sideways like that, what it'll do is that it'll go out a little bit, climb up real high, and then come back down. And most of the time, that's not good, of course, for the boomerang because it's a hard landing. But yeah, straight up and down would be throw them.
That was much better. See how it flies? Whoa, that drone is so... No way.
Oh, please.
Oh, no way. Ah!
So as you can see here, it is now Noor throwing the boomerang. He also makes a little mistake I'd like to talk about. He actually has a really good throw here, but as you're going to see, the boomerang has a little bit of trouble coming back to him. If you look, me and my other friend Dom are throwing in one direction while Noor was throwing in the other direction. The only reason that boomerang didn't come back to him was because he threw it in the wrong direction in accordance with the wind. So this is my last buddy Dom throwing the boomerang. He also makes a little mistake I'd like to talk about. He ends up throwing this boomerang a little bit too hard. A telltale sign that you threw a boomerang too hard is when it comes back to you, it's way above your head and it's flying very erratically. So watch out for that.
So just remember, from the top, hold it, pinch grip like I said. The wind has changed a little bit, so it's blowing this way. So I'm gonna be throwing 45 degrees right of the wind. Start out lighter, work your way up with throw speed, and hopefully I can get this thing to come back first try. No promises, of course. Even if you throw them perfectly, they don't always come back. But there's a very good chance of it coming back. Let me just put it like that. So I'll throw this one for you all.
Bombocla.
You know what made it come back? The Blancas. But that was how you throw the original bootleg boomerang. And thank you to all my friends who came out. Came with me today. Okay, I'll throw it one more time. Bow! Okay. Hopefully that'll be. I know what I'm doing tonight. I'm gonna sit down and edit all of this.
Cut.
Cut.